In this lesson, we're going to learn about definite and indefinite articles. First, let's see how much you already know about articles. Can you find all of the articles in the paragraph below? Hint: you'll find them before some of the nouns. In the first sentence, you should have found two articles. Ibrahim brought a sandwich and an apple and some chips for lunch. In the second sentence, there are three articles. He ate the sandwich and the apple in the canteen. In the last sentence, there are two articles. After school, he shared the chips with a friend. From the paragraph you just read, you saw that there are three articles. These are divided into two types. The first is the definite article, which is the. The second type of article are indefinite articles, and they are a and an. Now, don't worry too much about the terms definite and indefinite. The important thing is to learn when you should use the, a, and an. In general, a, an, and the are used before some nouns to show whether the noun is talking about something specific or not. That is, whether we know exactly what is being talked about or if it is one of many. Let's start by looking at a and an. A and an are used to talk about a person or thing for the first time. It's a speaker talking about any one of a type of thing. They are called the indefinite article because indefinite means not clear or not exact. To help you really understand what this means, let's look at some examples. Our first example is Miss Afra needs a chair. In this example, we use the article a. This tells us that Miss Afra doesn't want a specific chair, such as the yellow chair. She just wants any chair so that she can sit down. In our second example, we have I want an apple. In this example, we use the article an. Again, in this example, the speaker doesn't want a specific apple. They just want any apple to eat. It doesn't matter which one. Our final example is Ibrahim brought a sandwich and an apple for lunch. In this example, there's only one of each, but we're hearing about them for the first time, so we use a and an. Now let's look at how we choose between using a or an. In our first example, we said a chair because C is a consonant. Can you remember which letters are consonants? Some examples are B, D, S, and T. In our next example, we said an apple because apple starts with the letter A, which is a vowel. Remember, the vowels are U, A, E, I, and O. If you can remember the vowels, then it's easy to know that all the other letters are consonants. Now let's look at the words below and decide whether you should use a or an. For our first word, we say a pencil because P is a consonant. We also say a computer because C is also a consonant. We say an orange because O is one of the vowels. We say a shirt because S is a consonant. We say an ice cream because I is also one of our vowels. In our last word, we say a bridge because B is one of our consonants. It's very important to remember that we only use a and an with singular, countable nouns. For example, he saw a big snake. Snake is a countable noun, and we know there's only one, so we use a. He doesn't like snakes. In this example, we don't use a or an because snakes is plural. We can tell by the S on the end. So the rule is we don't use a or an with plural nouns. Look at the words below. Which of these words do you need to use a or an in front of? Only one of the words needs an article, and that's bag, because there's only one and it's countable. We say a bag. For pencils and apples, we don't use a or an because there is more than one. We also don't use a or an with uncountable nouns such as pasta and sugar. Now let's look at the. The is used to talk about a specific or known person or thing. It's called the definite article because definite means clear or obvious. Again, to help you understand what this means, let's take a look at some examples. Let's read our first example. Ibrahim brought a sandwich and an apple for lunch. He ate the sandwich, but he didn't eat the apple. In the first sentence, we say a sandwich and an apple because it's the first time we've heard about them. In the second part, we say the sandwich and the apple because we've already spoken about them. We know which sandwich and which apple we are talking about. They're the ones that Ibrahim brought for lunch. So, the listener knows because you talked about it before. Let's look at some more examples. In our next one, we have, I want the green apple. Now, there's more than one apple, but we know that the speaker wants the green apple. He doesn't want just any apple. We know exactly which one he wants. In our next example, we have, can you close the door, please? Because there is only one door in the room, we can say the door because the listener knows exactly which door you're talking about. In both of these examples, it's clear from the situation exactly what is being talked about. Here are some more examples of when we should use the. The tallest building in the world is in Dubai. There is only one building in the whole world that is the tallest. They live on the 52nd floor. In that particular building, only one floor can be the 52nd floor. And finally, the sun is really bright today. We all know that we only have one sun. So in all of these examples, we're using the because there is only one in the world or one in the particular situation, such as the 52nd floor of a building. Now, unlike with a and an, the can be used with both singular and plural nouns. For example, he likes the new shop down the street, and the shops, which is plural, are closed today. We can also use the with uncountable nouns. For example, did you get the luggage? We also use the with certain time expressions. Some common examples are in the morning, in the evening, at the weekend, at the moment, and at the time. We do not say at the night. We just say at night. Can you think of any more time expressions where we use the? Some other examples you might have thought of are in the afternoon or on the 25th of April. We also use the with some place expressions. Some examples are in the middle of, in the center of, at the corner of, at the end of, and on the table. Can you think of any other examples where we use the to express a place? Some other examples might be in the bottle, at the beginning, or on the floor. The is also used before some adjectives. Some common examples include the best, the most, the same, the last, and the next. So, we've talked about when we should use a, an, or the, but how about when we shouldn't? The first thing to remember is that we don't use a, an, or the when we talk about things in general. For example, many people like coffee in the morning. We don't use an article before coffee because we're making a general statement. In our next example, unicycles have one wheel. Again, we don't use an article because we're making a general statement about all unicycles. Some other rules to remember about when we don't use a, an, or the are as follows. We don't use them before most countries, such as Canada or Brazil. There are some countries that break the rule, such as your country, the UAE, and also the USA. Notice that in both of these examples, the countries start with the word united. If a country starts with united, you should use the. We also don't use articles before street names, like Sheikh Zayed Road, or proper names, like Ahmed or Mary. We don't use them before the names of parks or lakes, and also in front of some buildings. We're going to stop there because that's probably enough to remember in one lesson. This final page summarizes the key points from the lesson. But of course, to be able to use a, an, and the correctly, you need to practice. There are exercises in your online workbook, and you can also find many exercises online to help you practice using articles.